Welcome everybody to the third race of the GT4 and the GT3 multi-class sprint season. Today we are at Silverstone and we are in qualifying, the first and only qualifying. And then we'll have two 20-minute races, not two 20-minute races, two 20-minute races back to back. Just for the fun of it. Just for the absolute fun of it. I do also have one of the races in the VC to give some insight of the race. Obviously, it is the Dutch dominator. That's the one, Abe, right here.
Yeah. Hello.
And he'll be starting last. You said you'll be starting last in the GT3 spot, though, not in the GT4s, because we don't want to see
Gonna be
behind, don't we?
interesting in 20 minutes races.
Exactly.
Gonna be chaos, but we'll see.
No mandatory pit stop today, so you know, if you get taken out into T1 and you have to repair, then yeah, you're very much in deep trouble. So
Full gas.
full gas indeed. And currently watching the Maserati of Alexander Strutsenko, who's going to be the first GT4 to complete a valid lap. We'll see what the baseline will be. That GT4, that Maserati, an absolute horrible car to drive. Locks up at every single point that it can. And a 210.6 is the baseline for the rest, as comes across Makrzevic with a 213.5, so seemingly either Max set a not so good lap time or Alexander Strutsenko set a blisteringly fast lap time. Vladimir Delepov only at 211.9, Olaf Nikolai 211.5, so pretty close to Vladimir Delepov, but still 9/10 away from Alexander Strutsenko. So far Alexander Strutsenko looking to keep that provisional pole, but we'll see as more GT4s come across the line. Here comes Thomas Wunder in the Audi, and if we have a look at the BOP, the Chevrolet getting the biggest amount of negative ballast, negative 40 ballast, while the Alpine of Matt getting a plus 40, so, and the rest getting some small little tweaks as Thomas Wunder comes across the line in 4th place with a 212.5, and then Lewis de Witt beats that with a 212.202. 212.505 and a 212.202. Very nice, even lap times. Bjorn Ryan and the Janetta sets a pretty quick lap time, enough to put him on the front row in the GT4 class, a 211.407. Very, very nice. Tom Young in the Chevrolet, the beautifully sounding car, does not set a valid lap, but it would be a 213.4 and not looking too competitive so far. Where is Basselt? Oh, there he is, Marco Basselt, currently coming out and doing his outlap. So is Nikolai Polakov. I did not think we were going to see them today. But here we are. Both Marco Basselt and Nikolai Polakov. Obviously, Marco Basselt in the championship lead so far in the GT4 class. And he'll be hoping to extend that lead after hopefully winning another race today. But we'll see after he sets a lap time. Alexander Zdenko improves by about 2/10 to 210.470 is the lap time that he was able to do. A very long track. This is obviously shorter than Spa last week, but still definitely not a short track. I mean, average GT3 times of about 159, quickest lap times of about 156. So definitely. Okay, buddy. We know you can do a 55.
Yeah, it seems to be Strutsenko and probably Polyakov gonna be locking out the front grid.
In the Maserati, a very unlikely car you would see to be locking out the front row in the GT4s. But when you have two talented drivers like these guys, I mean, you'll see anything as I jinx it a little bit. Alexander Stutsenko going super sideways, coming onto the F1 straight as Lewis de Vit sets a good enough time to put him on the front row ahead of Vladimir Delepov at 2:11.215. Very close between him and the McLaren, as yet again going sideways through Maggots Beckett's Chapel. So a little bit of lack of grip in the GT4s going on today as Tom Young goes 6th with a 2:11.4. So it looks like if you're a regular driver, 2:11, maybe a very high 2:10 is where you should be aiming. If you're somebody like Nikolai Polakov or Marco Basile, you'll probably really want to be hitting a low 2:10. Maybe even into the 2:09s. I haven't seen many GT4 times, so I can't really comment on what's quickest or what's not.
Polyakov is looking to be on a pretty clean lap so far. Maybe some small mistakes, but looking strong. Only 2 corners for him to go.
Indeed, and we'll see if he beats what looks to be his teammate, since they are rocking the same livery. Ooh, a little bit wide there, but still keeping it within track limits. And now to come across the line, we'll see if he's able to beat Alexander Stutsenko in the other Maserati, and he does, and that is a very quick lap time. 3/10 ahead of Alexander Stutsenko at 2:10.1, and as you say, with those little mistakes throughout the lap, he definitely has a better lap within him. So in his final lap, he is gonna have to improve. Well, doesn't have to improve, but wants to improve enough so then he stays ahead of his fellow Maserati in P2. As Thomas
He definitely made a really big mistake just now in Maggots and Beckett, so his teammate might be coming back now. Since this will be the final lap of both of them.
Yeah, indeed. Alexander Stutsenko, though, currently not looking like he's improving. Nikolai Polakov is down a whole 10th. Tom Young, a 10th up on his time. This is his final time. As he comes across the line, he'll be hoping to beat Marco Basile in the other Chevrolet. And he does, and he beats Bjorn Rien and Thomas Wunder with a 2:11.3. A good lap time for him. That puts him up into 5th place. Who's coming across the line next? It will be Alexander Stutsenko, who is not improving, as we can now let the GT3s go out. Actually, thank you so much for writing that.
No problem.
And Alexander Stutsenko is improving, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough, as he's coming through the final corner now. A little bit wide there, losing the time that he gained through the penultimate corner. He comes across the line, and it is an improvement. No, it's not. It's not an improvement. A 2:10.5. And that is his qualifying session over. Vladimir Delepov trying to get ahead of Lewis de Vit. And it looks like it's going to happen as he comes across the line at 2:11.0. Great lap time by him. He secures that P3 ahead of Lewis de Vit. Here comes Nikolai Polakov trying to go into the 2:09s in the GT4. The only GT4 to hit the 2:09s in the session. He comes across the line and it's a 2:09.8. And that is exactly the sort of speed and pace we would see from Nikolai Polakov. Great qualifying by him. Final GT4 to come across the line will be Marco Basile. And he'll be hoping to get ahead of his Chevrolet compatriot. And maybe even get ahead of Lewis de Vit for the second row. As he goes and completely loses all of the time gained through the penultimate corner, comes across the line. It is an improvement, but only improvement by about a couple hundredths and only 1 place ahead of where he was going to be. And that is it for the GT4s. As Lewis de Vit comes into the pits. And we can now focus on the GT3s, as I think Tyler Witz is going to be the first person to come across the line to start. No, it's not going to be the first person to come across the line. It's going to be Dries Verhulst. No, Claudio Passo. Oh my god, I am completely lost. Claudio Passo is the first person to come across the line to start a valid lap in the EOS livery. Is that the EOS livery? I know he drives for EOS. It's a Shumi Skins livery. I did not know that EOS... Is that a Oh my god. VG Performance. Shumi Skins sponsor. Interesting. Maybe EOS are in some sort of partnership with Shumi Skins. I do not know. But what I do know is that Claudio Passo will be coming across the line in just a little while. And coming through the final corner complex in that Ferrari. And the Ferrari, a pretty quick car around here, I'm sure. He's now towards the line. He'll be hoping to keep it below the 2 minutes. He does. A 58 dead. I thought it was a 57.9. It's a 57 dead. As Dries Verhulst comes across the line. So that's a 58.8. Then will come Schnell Schnacker to set an invalid lap. Carlo Giorazio currently gonna be setting a valid lap, I hope. And he does. And that's a 2-minute 3. Then comes Eduardo Perez, a 2-minute 0.4. And Henry Mar, a 2:01.7. That is all of the people who have crossed the line so far. Tyler Witz coming into the pits. And that is Roberto Santoro coming across the line of 59.0 for him. As Abe, as promised, will be coming across the line with a 2:08.5. Definitely not as quick as he would like it to be. As Andrea Morginella next in line. And he will be going 7th ahead of Abe, but behind everybody else. A 2:02.8 for him. Then comes Aidan Furby in the Mercedes. It's an outlap for him. So we'll see what he's able to do after this. Claudio Passo on an absolute flyer. He is set and ready to go for a 57. As he set a 58.000. And it's about time to break into the 57s for the man in the Ferrari. Driving for what looks to be EOS, but also Shumi Skins combined. And towards the line he goes. A pretty tidy last sector there. And it's a 57.6. A good lap time by him. Dries Verhulst not improving on his time as he comes across the line. Then comes Oscar Pratt. Currently in 19th. Comes across the line. It's an invalid lap. Then is Schnell Schnacker. And it's P7 for him. A 2:01.9. Ahead of Andrea Morginella. And Carlo Giorazio 1.6 seconds up. And right behind his teammate with a 58.7. As Eduardo Perez not improving. At least not doing a valid improvement. As Roberto Santoro having to fight his way in qualifying already. He's fighting with... Ooh, that's contact already. Oh. Oh, that definitely looks like that was intentional. I'm not sure what was going on. It was Andrew Reid in the Porsche completely not giving way to Roberto Santoro, who was on a flying lap. And they did make contact before, and Roberto Santoro definitely not happy with that. He did end up hitting Andrew Reid, what looked to be on purpose. Kind of Verstappen-esque vibe, like he did at the iRacing race after he got taken out in turn 1. kind of just went straight for him. No, I think Andrew Reid invalidated his lap. Invalidated Roberto Santoro's lap by forcing him wide. And that kind of screwed up the whole process. Roberto Santoro technically could go out for another flying lap and be pretty comfortable in doing so, as Tyler Witts letting the other EOS car through. That is Claudio Passo, but he is on an invalid lap. Oscar Pratt coming across the line soon. He is on a valid lap, and he will be coming across the line soon. I'm not sure why Roberto Santoro didn't just go for another lap. I mean, even with that contact, he still could have improved. But nevertheless, Oscar Pratt comes across the line at 59.2. He's up into 5th place. Dries Verhulst not improving. Oh no, he did go for an outlap. Schnellschnacker at 201.1. And then comes Carlo Diarazzo, who did not improve, and he is 2.5 seconds down. Not sure what happened there. Eduardo Perez a 10th up on his time. It's not enough to get ahead of Oscar Pratt. He stays in 6th. Then comes the number 21 of Dylan Allen. Just had an invalid lap. And Imar 4/10 up. And it won't be enough to get ahead of the 111. But he is getting closer lap by lap. And those laps are expiring quite quickly, as Andrew Reid in his broken Porsche will be setting an invalid lap, I'm pretty sure. Yes, it is. And Aidan Furby a second slower on this lap. Then what? Didn't set a single lap.
Quite a lot of GT3s not set a lap.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, I mean Tyler. No, Andrew Reid was in contact with Roberto Santoro. Tyler Witts, not sure what happened. There comes Aidan Furby at 201.6. Claudio Passo still wanting to improve, still not content with his lap at the top. He is a whole second quicker than his teammate, but he wants more, and he is going to get more as he comes across the line. He's going to go only a 10th up, but it's a 57.5, and that is a very good lap. Tyler Witts coming across the line to sell a valid lap at 200.5. Then comes the 111 of Snell, who will not set a valid lap. Carlo Diorazio also not going to set a valid lap. Eduardo Perez going to be down on his time. And Dylan Allen is the final person who can set a valid lap and push himself out of last place, and to hopefully not start behind the GT4s like Andrew Reid is going to do, as Dylan Allen does go up into 7th place. Did you say he invalidated his lap?
Yes.
He didn't.
Again, so he's...
Oh, Andrew Reid, you mean?
GT4.
Yeah, Andrew Reid, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what has been going on in that car, but hopefully...
He's not in a happy place.
And that is it for the qualifying session, and we are off to the double 20-minute race back to back. And wow, chaos, more chaos than the other races, can you believe it? But let's start off with the grid. When I turn off the leaderboard, yes, Claudio Passo is on pole position with a 57.5, a whole second ahead of P2, which happens to be his teammate Carlo Diorazio. And then comes Dries Verhulst. It's actually a Ferrari 1-2, which we don't see that often in F1 or in the GT3s. But here we have it. Dries Verhulst in P3. Then comes Roberto Santoro. Oscar Pratt in P5. And Eduardo Perez in P6. Dylan Allen in 7th place. Then comes Tyler Witts and Snell Snacker in 9th. Henry Marr in 10th place. And Aidan Furby in 11th. Andrea Morganella starting in 12th, and Abe with, we can call it a not classified lap time, starting last in the GT3s. Well, technically not starting last in the GT3s, but ahead of the GT4s, he's starting last. There we go. Nikolai Polakov starting first in the GT4s with a front row lockout with his teammate in the Maserati of Alexander Susenko. And then comes Vladimir Delepov, who will have quite a good advantage, I think, with that top speed, with the straight line speed. I mean, he is going to be quite a car, I think, to be annoying, very annoying to overtake for Lewis David, who is starting in 4th. Then comes Tom Young in 5th and Bjorn Rien in 6th. Marco Basile, the current championship leader, unfortunately starting in 7th. Then comes Thomas Wunder in 8th. Olaf Nikolai in 9th, and Mac Rosevich in 10th. Am I counting these correct? He's starting in 10th? Yes, he's starting in 10th. And Andrew Reid starting last overall and in the GT3s. So, 2 20-minute races. No mandatory pit stops. We're on Silverstone. The sky looks clear as always. Well, not like as always. The track, relatively hot. I'd say that is 5 degrees over the regular hot lap time, hot lap temperatures. So tires might be going quickly, but in a 20-minute race, I don't think you really care about tires. Really, I mean, you don't. But what's going to be your strategy of moving through the field? I mean, knowing that you don't really have too many people to go ahead, and knowing that you are also probably the quickest driver on the grid, how are you going to avoid the troubles of this track and the field as well?
I will have to see in 5 lap 1 mostly, and then I will see from there, slowly build up, and we'll see what we can do.
And do you expect to see any GT4s today, lapping them? In a 20-minute race, do you really expect to lap them, or will it not be as much of an issue as it was in the previous races?
Well, the lap difference is about 10 seconds, considering we're probably doing about 11 laps. That would put it at 110 seconds, which
It's
probably
nearly...
will lap a couple GT4s.
Wow. In a 20-minute race where everybody's fighting for position very, very hardly, very, very, door-to-door sort of style, having those GT4s, it will be an absolute pain, I think. So it'll be interesting and fun to look at as we just wait for the formation laps to start and for Claudio Passo, not Claudio, is it Claudio? Yeah, it is. Claudio Passo to lead the way, as I think I hear everybody turning on their engines. So it's about time we start the first race of 2. And if you have any predictions as well, do drop them in the chat. It is fun to see who gets it right and who is over-exaggerating it. As a lot of people try to. But Claudio Passo finally leading the way off the field behind. And if we look in the standings, I'm not sure he's really high up there, unless I am wrong.
Oh, it's Dries Verhulst still standing still.
Oh no. Is it going to be Dries with hardware problems again? No, it looks like he is got going now, but he is way behind from where he has to be. And with that timer ticking down, okay, I think he will make it there in time. It's just, isn't it, if you don't get to your position in time in within 30 seconds, you get teleported back to the pits. So
yeah, that's a good start for you.
Yeah, that's definitely not what you want to be doing. But looks like he has got back going, and he is not at risk of starting from the pits. Though I don't know what you really want to do here. Do you want to start from the pits? Maybe. But where is Claudio Passo in the standings? Currently sitting in 7th place, about 48 points behind. No, 58 points behind P1 of Abe Santama. So there'll be some good points for Claudio Passo today if he finishes on the podium. Currently finishing in 13th and 5th in the past 2 races that he's participated in. Carlo D'Orazio missing 1 race and finishing in 2nd. And also Roberto Santoro currently in 5th, and he finished 7th and 7th. And he'll be hoping to break that chain and to possibly finish in the top 5, or maybe even fight for the podium with his teammates. But a lot of Ferraris in the top 7. Actually, only 2 non-Ferraris in the top 7. The rest rocking the same manufacturer. Pretty powerful car on here. Even though it did get 9 kilograms, with the McLaren getting 18. Double the ballast. Insane. And, oh, Paul Moreira did join, but he will be starting from the pits. As he did not send a single lap in qualifying. And did not make it in time for the grid.
Mercedes here with really bad internet, and I'm pretty concerned.
Is it the number 44? Oh, it does look like the number 44. Oh, yeah.
Yes. That's number 44.
Looks like he is all over the place. But we'll see. As Andrea Morginella decides to win the positions in the formation lap.
That's how we do it.
Exactly. But. We are about to get underway as Claudio Passo rounds the final corner, or the penultimate corner if you don't want to count it as the final corner. And here is the actual final corner, the old pit straight, the one that they don't use in Formula 1. The famous Cops Corner, where 2 drivers decided to go side by side. And one of them not really finished in the race, and the other one did. But Claudio Passo will be hoping to get this start nice and clean as he waits for the marshal to wave the green flag, and he does. And Claudio Passo, ooh, it's not a great start from him, as Carlo D'Orazio did try to go round the outside, as Dries Verhaals slides right behind Carlo D'Orazio. Roberto Santoro already looking to overtake Dries Verhaals for 3rd place, as they, I'm looking at that correct, Tyler Witts trying to go 3 wide, not doing that. Dylan Allen going ahead of Eduardo Perez cutting in front, and ooh, hitting the front of Dylan Allen, and that has caused quite the collision for him, as Aiden Furby colliding with a lot of people. Nikolai Polakov already up into 1st place. No, he's not. He started in 1st place. Alexander Zhusenko defending from Vladimir Delepov. Andrea Morginella was the person who collided with somebody, as he is now down in 13th. Tyler Witts is down in 21st, and Snell down in 22nd. As Paul Moreira did start. And, oh, what happened to you?
I got taken out by someone with internet issues.
Ah. Yeah, I did see Aiden oh my god, I might just disqualify that.
Yeah, I think you should take him away.
That looks like a... Yeah, I just saw him completely teleport across everybody. So that was not fun. But Claudio Passo already getting a pretty nice lead ahead of Carlo D'Orazio down in second. Roberto Santoro still fighting with Dries Verhulst quite closely, 6/10 away from him. As Bjorn Rien getting closer to Vladimir Delepov, but in the straight, on the straight, he's just not able to gain as, Andrew Reid colliding with one of the GT4s of Vladimir Delepov, but it looks like Vladimir Delepov not really budged by that, as there comes Abe Santama trying to overtake the gaggle of GT4s while also not taking himself and the rest out. Looks like he's done it quite cleanly, as there's also a Schnell Schnacker overtaking them as he eyes up Abe, but getting quite close to you actually there, as Andrew Reid going off the track yet again, and Alexander Susenko now behind Tyler Witz, and that's going to bring the gap up quite a bit between him and his teammate of Nikolai Polakov. As Vladimir Delepov going round the outside, now on the inside of Tom Young, not able to do that. Bjorn Rien catching him lacking round the outside. Bjorn Rien and the Ginetta going round the outside, the McLaren. I've said that twice, and I don't care. Marco Basile extending the lead ahead of the group behind him and wanting to go for the battle with Thomas Wunder, as Abe now clearing all the GT4s ahead and now waiting for the battle with the rest of the GT3s, as Bjorn Rien, a huge collision for him. Look at that front end, absolutely removed off that car. As Tom Young in a collision with Vladimir Delepov, he has kept it straight. Those GT4s quite strong when it comes to handling collisions, but definitely not a place where he wants to find himself. Nearly, absolutely going sideways as Tom Young continues to battle with Vladimir Delepov, as Olaf Nikolai going for the inside. Nothing coming out of that. It's just Chevrolet just absolutely firing up the rear end and going round. And sometimes that V8 power is just a little bit too much for the drivers to handle, as Tom Young losing those positions and now down in last, even behind Bjorn Rien, who's got the absolute decimated front end of his Ginetta. And now Abe going for the move on Tyler Witz into 10th place. Tyler Witz also in the collision in lap 1, I'm pretty sure, as Tyler Witz just going a little bit too slow through the Maggots Beckett's series. And Abe with a big snap there, and Tyler Witz able to regain the position momentarily as they go side by side, and Abe Santama takes that position away. But Tyler Witz in the slipstream.
GT3 in front of me is spinning.
yeah. I saw that. Looks like, Tyler Witz having a big snap. Looks like just losing a little bit of consistency. No, a little bit of a distraction ahead of you. There you go, causing that snap.
Just a little one.
Just a little one, indeed. As Marco Basile finally catching up to the back of Thomas Wunder, now hoping to overtake him for 3rd place. As Bjorn Rien getting passed by Tom Young. Bjorn Rien not having a great race at all, and I won't be surprised if we see him in the pits by the end of this lap. But to be fair for him, it does not make sense to go into the pits, as now, while we were looking at the battle for 3rd in the GT4s, the battle in the GT3s for 3rd has really spiced up, as Dries Verhulst falling down into 4th place, and now it's an EOS 1, 2, and 3, as Dries Verhulst struggling to take that position back from Roberto Santoro. And not also is it a EOS 1, 2, 3, it is a Ferrari 1, 2, 3, and boy oh boy, it is looking like a dominant race for the boys up front. Dries Verhulst will not let that slide though, as he is gonna stay in the slipstream of the Ferrari down the straight towards the winding right-hander and into the chicane. a very satisfying bit of corners to do, and a very good opportunity to overtake somebody as Dries Verhulst looking to go onto the inside. Roberto Santoro leaving that door open, and Dries Verhulst looking to go for the dive, but clipping that inside curb just a little bit too much and not able to carry as much speed as Roberto Santoro did. And they continue to fight on, going into the fast right-hander. Won't be able to make a move there, but will be able to gain quite a lot of time if he's able to do this correctly. And going straight off the track for Dries Verhulst, and that is his battle quite over for now, as Dylan Allen fights out of Eduardo Perez for 6th place. And the battle heating up quite a bit, as they were going side by side for a little while. Oh, yeah, what's happened to Abe over here?
Don't mind me.
Is it just a McLaren? McLaren moment? Okay. Well, while Abe does the spinnies, we can have a look at Dylan, who is 2/10 away in the CRF South African livery, trying to overtake that very fast Lamborghini in front. And a Ferrari definitely quicker through the first sector compared to the Lamborghini. I mean, just the amount of speed he's able to carry through there. But obviously, as I say that, he loses all the time, but gains it back in the slipstream. As Will, he tried to pressure on. He goes onto the grass. Loses quite a lot of time there as he tried to pressure Eduardo Perez from moving off the inside line. Not happening there, as we can go and see Abe going side by side with Tyler Witts once again, as he will try to make this overtake round the outside, not making any contact hopefully there, and indeed Abe ahead as Tyler Witts tries to hold on dearly for that position. Doesn't look like he's going to fight it too much, and Abe up into 9th place. Dylan Allen still fighting with Eduardo Perez, going round the outside, trying to get the better exit compared to the Lamborghini. Lamborghini definitely losing quite a little bit of time there, going narrow through the corners, and Dylan Allen will have a great run down the straight towards the final complex of corners. And Dylan Allen really setting himself up nicely here, but not going for an overtake nevertheless. As Dylan Allen's nearly had the overtake done there, as Eduardo Perez making a bit of a mistake into the final corner, but Dylan Allen making a mistake of his own, as Camacho saying that his teammate is washed. I'm not really sure who the teammate is, but can only imagine it is the number 14. As Vladimir Dilepov fighting with Marco Basley. They're going side by side. Vladimir Dilepov trying to retake 4th place from Marco Basley, and I think he does it quite nicely there, as Marco Basley not going to be able to gain much on the straight compared to the McLaren, but maybe, just maybe, he can do it into the corner, and it really does not look like he's going to be able to regain that position, as Dylan Allen finally able to get ahead of Eduardo Perez, and Eduardo Perez not looking to take that position back, and Dylan Allen up into 6th place. Olaf Nikolai behind Lewis de Witt for 19th, as Tyler Witts having a little bit of a yellow flag moment himself. And now Marco Basley under attack from the GT3 behind. He'll be hoping that this pass is nice and clean, as definitely contact there between the GT3 and the GT4. Marco Basley getting unstabilized. What is going on? Is there bowling out there? That Porsche I mean, getting in the way of Roberto Santoro in qualifying, now getting in the way of the fight with Marco Basile and Vladimir Dulepov, absolutely taking him out. No mercy. No mercy at all. I'm quite tempted to just disqualify. But we'll see what the others say. As Dries Verhaals falling quite a way back from Roberto Santoro as Abe sets the fastest lap of 57.5. Only 3/10 ahead of Claudio Passo's fastest lap. So it would have actually been an interestingly close race, maybe at the top, possibly, as Andrea Morginella discovers the wall. And Schnellsnacker will be delighted by that, as he's going to take that position away. And no, he isn't, as Andrea Morginella decides to park it straight on the racing line. And Schnellsnacker quite affected by that. As Abe now finally getting closer to the rest of the GT3s behind Henry Marr as the two McLarens fighting it out for 8th place. And can Abe go around the outside? No, he can't. And he'll have to wait for the next corner. Can he do it into the fast right-hander? Only time will tell as he goes to the inside, and he'll be hoping that this is a clean overtake on Henry Marr, and Henry Marr giving plenty of space as Abe able to squeeze on by and ahead of his McLaren compatriot, as Henry Marr has to settle for 9th place, and Vladimir Dulepov still under attack from Marco Basile, as it looks like Andrew Reid getting in the way of a GT4 battle yet again. And I'm sure these GT4 drivers are scared for life. As Vladimir Dulepov, as Vladimir Dulepov now behind Andrew Reid, and Andrew Reid getting side by side with Marco Basile, and Andrew Reid ahead of them. And well, next comes the very vulnerable and fragile group called the top 3. You take them out, you become their biggest enemy. So Andrew Reid has all the experience now from this race and the previous 2 to try and overtake the top 3 ahead. Cleanly is the key word. In the next 5 minutes, as Lewis de Witt now fighting with Olaf Nicolai, trying to take that position back from him. As he goes to the inside, he does not go for the overtake, aborting it quite last second. What has happened to Abe? Shocked to see him so far back. Well, it's called having a little bit of fun. Also getting taken out into turn 1, but that's not the point. Abe deciding to start from last, which was 12th in the GT3s. Obviously not wanting to disturb the GT4s, so not starting behind them. As, Olaf Nicolai going for a very late dive on Lewis de Witt. Lewis de Witt, though, catching that slide quite nicely. Still behind Olaf Nicolai, but still alive. So, not too shabby. A Schnellsnacker not in a great shape. The car definitely not supposed to look that way, as he is now back into the pits. And Olaf Nicolai looks like he gave the position back to Lewis de Witt, as did not deem it to be a healthy or a safe overtake. I would not deem that a good overtake either, as he now wants to battle it out cleanly and fairly. But will monitor the situation between Andrew Reid and the top 3, as he looks like he overtakes them nice and cleanly. And 12 seconds to go to the next GT4. And with 4 minutes to go, I don't think there's going to be much of a battle there, as Olaf Nicolai still very close to the back. As here comes Claudio Passo, going to be lapping the GT4s. So indeed, the GT4 is getting a little bit in the way, but doesn't look like it is affecting anybody too much. If anything, it's affecting the GT4s way more, with the amount of abuse they had to put up with this race already, and they're going to have to do it for another race, since it's going to be the same qualifying order, at least I think. In technicality, it should be, as Roberto Santoro now fighting with Carlo D'Orazio. Remember, these guys are teammates, so if Roberto Santoro does feel like he's quicker, they can pull the old friend card, but I don't think they will be doing that. I think they do enjoy a little bit of a battle as they now overtake Tom Young. And for the final couple of minutes, they will be fighting it quite nicely out. And they do have 2 more laps to go, I'm pretty sure. Yes, they do. So Roberto Santoro will have 2 more laps. And depending on his pace, he might or might not go into 2nd place. So far, it looks like Roberto Santoro going about half a second quicker than Carlo D'Orazio per lap. So, with that in mind, I'm pretty sure Carlo D'Orazio might be under a lot of pressure, especially with the GT4s. It's Carlo D'Orazio getting very much held up by Luis de Witt, who is in his own battle with Olaf Nicolai. And there comes Roberto Santoro, having the greatest exit ever, with a little bit of a help from the GT4 and ahead of his teammate. And this brings Dries Verhulst into the battle as well, as he was able to pass the GT4s on the straight, and he's only 2 tenths away, and still with the podium in sight. Dries Verhulst, 2 more laps to go, and he'll be hoping for some miracle of more GT4s in front, and maybe even inherit 2nd place from Roberto and Carlo. So not all is over in these multi-class races, as Vladimir Telepov getting a little bit bullied over there by the GT3s, and Carlo D'Orazio taking that position back momentarily as Roberto Santoro goes ahead, and Dries Verhulst now up into 3rd place. Depends on how Carlo D'Orazio... No! Contact between Dries and Carlo, and it was bound to happen as Carlo D'Orazio now goes behind Oscar Pratt as Andrea Morginella stops right in the middle of the track. And Oscar Pratt goes up into P4. Henry Marr behind Tyler Witz. Not really much happening there, but it looks like the GT4s are in the midst of a huge battle. As Claudio Passo, yellow flags, he was off the track. Did he have contact? He had contact with the Porsche. Now went bowling with the GT4s quite a lot of times. And there's going to be definitely some strong words said after the race regarding that Porsche from a lot of drivers. Dries Verhulst now behind Sir Roberto Santoro and hoping, is there more GT4s ahead? Yes, there is 1 more GT4 ahead, but it's going to be on the straight. So it doesn't look like it's going to help Dries Verhulst much at all, as Dylan Allens makes contact with one of the GT4s ahead of Abe. And Claudio Passo making contact again with Andrew Reid. Ugh. Very interesting. Carlo D'Orazio trying to take that position back after the collision with Dries Verhulst. And only 4 tenths away, as his teammate up in P1 is going to be crossing the line soon to win the first of 2 races. And Carlo now looking to go around the outside into the weird little chicane. I wouldn't really call it a chicane, but Carlo D'Orazio on the inside, forcing Oscar Pratt to take the worst line. So it's Carlo D'Orazio taking the worst line, as everything is really kicking off here. Abe Santoma going down the inside of Dylan Evans for 6th place. As Carlo D'Orazio, final corner to go, and he does not make the move as Claudio Passo finishes the race in 1st place. And Carlo D'Orazio trying his absolute best to get ahead of Oscar Pratt after the collision with Dries Verhaals, tumbling him down into 5th place. He will not be able to take it back, and Oscar Pratt will be delighted to have his 4th place, as behind Olaf Nikolai and Tom Young fighting it out for 19th, for 18th, and Tom Young will be able to hold on to that position in 18th place. Good stuff by him, and good stuff by most people. Well, and that is it for the first race. How did you feel about it?
There was quite a lot going on this race, especially that last lap. I think a lot of shit happened.
That's one way to put it. That is definitely one way to put it. Yeah, definitely one person stood out for the wrong reason. And obviously Claudio Passo with a very good win there, ahead of Roberto Santoro, who was able to snatch that 2nd place, and Dries Verhaals staying in 3rd after that collision with Carlo D'Orazio, putting him down into 5th place, and Oscar Pratt a little bit under the radar, but finishing in 4th place, and Nikolai Polakov able to take the win ahead of his teammate of Alexander Stutsenko and Thomas Wunder in 3rd. Marco Basile making up quite a lot of positions. He's up into 4th place, so definitely damage limitation from his qualifying. And we'll just wait until the next race starts. As I hear somebody ripping it down in their Maserati. There it is. It's Alexander Stutsenko. Beautiful car. Beautiful. And there we go. Just one more race to go. What's the wait time? Well, you've got the wait time on, I don't.
I do not have a wait time.
Okay, well, we'll just wait. Not really sure if I should. No, we're not gonna next it. We're just gonna wait it out, just like a normal qualifying session or a normal practice session. Just wait for everybody, for the game to do its thing. I'm pretty sure somebody didn't finish, so it's probably counting on that. There's Henry Marr. Did not finish the race technically. He went straight into the pits before the leader crossed the line. So that could be a bit annoying. Also, Aiden Furby didn't finish the race, but he's been in the pits the whole time, so don't think that should affect it. But waiting patiently, and hopefully we don't have a re-roll of turn 1 again. And there we go. Back onto the grid.
Maybe we'll have some better luck this race.
Yeah, hopefully there's gonna be cleaner racing, cleaner fighting. And let's just check the internet of a certain car. I don't see it.
I think he's left now.
Oh no, he's starting in 23rd. So he's starting way last. And it does look like the internet situation is a little bit bad, but we'll just see.
Well, I made it with fuel, so I guess I have this calculation right.
How much fuel did you have left?
I do not know. But I made it. Right, I have a big gap in front of me, which is nice now.
Let's have a look. Oh yeah, a whole car. So it will be a whole car in order to avoid any sort of shenanigans. Very good, and it's the same starting grid as before, so don't have to go over that again. Oh, what is this camera that I just created? Okay. Anyway.
New camera unlocked.
Yeah, I just went F7 and then I just started moving through people. Oh wait, this could be just a new camera, right? Could just do this and then... No, you can't. Okay. This is interesting. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just waiting for the start. And Claudio Passo yet again leading the way. And he'll be hoping for back-to-back wins in this race, as it looks like the internet issue not resolved and back to the pits for Aiden Furby. Unfortunate, really, because you do want to see people race, but, you know, sometimes it is just not your day.
And many times to me before.
Yep.
The worst feeling.
Yeah, whenever it's out of your control, it is horrible. Just like I had that thing on ACC and on iRacing where I'd lose audio and then I'd freeze and then... Oh, jeez. And I still don't know if I fixed it.
Even if it's not... If it is in your control, it's just this horrible feeling.
I know, I think the feeling gets worse with more teammates that you have in the car, and the longer the race is. So like if you crash in a 24-hour race fully, in like 20 hours in, you kind of feel defeated by then.
Yeah, it's definitely painful to do it. Or when you're in like something of a really high competition race and you
Yeah.
just make this mistake and lose 5 positions, let's say, you just feel horrible.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's part of racing.
Unfortunately, it is. Unless your name is Max Verstappen, then you don't really have to deal with it.
I guess you don't really care if you have that name.
Exactly. You can just leave and go however you want. And you'll be most likely quicker. Unlike Alonso. But I could go on about that for days. Claudio Passo. Midway through. He had a pretty okay average start last time. Carlo Di Razio had a glimpse of hope to try and go for the lead. But starting on the outside into T1, there's not really much of an opportunity that he has unless he gets a blisteringly fast start. And Claudio Passo, I'm not even sure, just doesn't rev the engine, just doesn't go above 60 miles per hour.
You have to be really confident in your doings if you go around the outside there.
Yeah, that is for sure. And my overlay, not really understanding that we're doing a second race. It is kind of going all over the place.
I am winning now.
No, you're not. It's Claudio Passo who's winning, mate. And he's got a 1.3 second gap to Carlo Di Razio behind.
Damn, that's a big gap.
Yeah, it's about to get smaller. Look at this through the final corner. Right. Claudio Passo. Hoping for back-to-back wins and keep Abe at bay and very far behind, and hoping he gets into a crash again. And his teammate defending from Dries Verhulst, Roberto Santoro also wanting to gain that position back like he did last time. The Super Sprint Series format is underway for the second race as they wait for the marshal to wave the green flag and the lights to switch from red to green as Claudio Passo, oh my god, there's already a crash at the start. I saw Tyler Witz going straight into the side of a Ferrari, maybe, as Abe already going round the outside of Schnell into the first corner. Claudio Passo not getting away as quick as he did last time. Still pretty close gap as Roberto Santoro straight ahead. Oh my god, what's going on here? Oh my god, my whole entire live timing has gone crazy. Roberto Santoro straight up ahead into third place ahead of Dries Verhulst. Dries Verhulst had a horrible start. He's down into 5th place, and at the back, Henry Marr completely into the wall as Abe fighting with Tyler Witz. And was there contact between Tyler and that McLaren is the question, because I did see...
Definitely was.
Okay. Right, well, Abe on the inside, and he's already up into 8th place, ahead of the Porsche. Dries Verhulst trying to fight back the position from Oscar Pratt. It's in the background. We've got Louis de Witt fighting with Vladimir Delepov, Tom Young, Bjorn Ree, and Olaf Nikolai. Oh my god. And Olaf and Thomas Wunder and everybody around him, really. As Henry Marr is back into the pits. Aidan Furby never left the pits. Very unfortunate scenes. As Dries Verhulst now still on the back of the Ferrari ahead. The Cappuccino Ferrari as he goes down the inside. And Oscar Pratt leaving that door wide open. And Dries Verhulst welcoming himself in. and taking that position away. And now the hunt is on to get ahead of Roberto Santoro, as Dylan Allen's behind Eduardo Perez, 4 tenths away, as this will become a four-way battle for 4th place, as Abe behind Tyler Witz. I'm not sure how that happened, as Tyler Witz completely misses the corner, and that position goes back to the McLaren. And ahead, they're still fighting on quite strongly. Dylan Allen's losing a bit of pace to Eduardo Perez. Oscar Pratt also losing sight of Dries Verhulst. And Dries Verhulst sets his eyes on Roberto Santoro, his rival in the last race, rival in this race. Tom Young behind Vladimir Delepov for 4th place. Nikolai Polakov and Alexander Strutsenko already flying away from the rest. As we look on and watch Vladimir Delepov fight it out with Lewis DeVitt. Remember, these guys had that battle last time out. They're going 3 wide nearly into the chicane. And they are going 3 wide into the chicane. Vladimir Delepov going for the big dive. And Tom Young trying to replay Lewis Hamilton's move to try and go through all of them. But not succeeding in that sense. Look at the gaggle of cars there is going on out here. Vladimir Delepov going ahead. Oh no, he's not. As Lewis DeVitt going straight into the side of him, and Tom Young now getting ahead of the whole pack. Behind them, Olaf Nikolai fighting with Bjorn Rien. Now Olaf Nikolai is ahead of Vladimir Delepov, and Bjorn Rien trying to not rear end Vladimir Delepov. Jesus Christ, what is going on? The Mercedes going very, very wide there. Thomas Wunder somehow ended up in 19th. He's now fighting very hard with the rest of them. Going straight into the grass. Bouncing all over the place. And in the slipstream of the Mercedes. Behind the rest of the pack. He is the biggest spectator of the whole entire battle of cars ahead. And he will be the person to capitalize on if anybody crashes. As Abe moves ahead of Eduardo Perez for 6th place. And Bjorn Rien side by side with Olaf Nikolai coming through the final corner. And they will still be going side by side going into Cops. And remember what happened in 2021. Well, it's not going to happen this time out, as Olaf Nikolai conceding that position. And behind Bjorn Rien now. Vladimir Delepov behind Tom Young. Remember that McLaren having insane top speed. An insane straight line speed. Same thing pretty much. As he tries to set up the corners correctly to maximize his exit speed. And Vladimir Delepov now gaining and gaining on the back of the Chevrolet. But not gaining quick enough, as Eduardo Perez and Dylan Allen's going side by side through a lot of the corners, but Dylan Allen now ahead of Eduardo Perez for 7th place.
The guy ahead of me has his blinkers on.
His hazards? Oh yeah, he does have his hazards on. And the rain light on. Just a little bit of a distraction for the rest behind.
Extra safety.
Extra safety, exactly. Because you can get disqualified if you don't have your rain light on. I thought Eric was on the season. Yeah, he is in the season. He's just not doing the race today. As Roberto Santoro now wanting to gain the position on fair grounds. To Carlo D'Orazio going on the inside of Cops. But not going for the move. Just trying to scare his teammate into making a mistake. And it does look like he made a little bit of a mistake there, as now Roberto Santoro closer than he ever was before, only a 10th away coming through Maggotts Beckens Chapel, but the dirty air definitely affecting him a little bit there and losing quite a bit of time to his teammate. As we look, and Abe in the same situation as Roberto Santoro was, but Oscar Pratt kicking up a little bit of dust, hoping to block Abe Santoma's windshield, but Abe going round the outside and a little bit of contact there and going way off the track but keeping that position ahead of the Ferrari. And up into 5th place, and now really up into the positions where he would want to be, and maybe even battle for P1, possibly P2. There's Olaf Nikolai now, trying to gain the position back from Marco Basile. But Marco Basile is on a roll himself, as he is trying to limit his damage done to the race, as he started from the pits after not realizing we do have 2 races in a row, which quite a bunch of people didn't realize. Roberto Santoro still 3/10 away. As Claudio Passo sets the fastest lap of 57.7. And he's 4 seconds ahead of Carlo D'Orazio. As yellow flag, I said that too quickly. The leader spinning right out. Oh my god. I really need to shut my mouth. Carlo D'Orazio now promoted into the leading spot. And Roberto Santoro all of a sudden finding himself in a fight for the lead, and all of a sudden Abe Santima's chances of winning this race have gone up by a lot. And we'll just monitor that. As Roberto Santoro actually trying to go for the inside, very much unsettling his teammate, having to compromise his lines, and Roberto Santoro for a great switchback on the inside, forcing his teammate a little bit wide there, a little bit of foul play, but nothing too serious, but he's up into the lead ahead of Carlo D'Orazio, and Dries Verhulst will be hoping that they lose even more time so he can gain that 2nd place momentarily before he's demoted back down behind Abe. Thomas Wunder behind Marco Basile now, as both of them are making their way through the field. Marco Basile now up into 18th. Lewis David going side by side with Tom Young, just Tom Young, not Thomas. And ahead of Tom Young as they head through the winding right-hand, and Tom Young just trying to gain that position back. Nothing coming out of that, as he might go for the dive on the inside. No. He has to really defend from Vladimir Delepo behind, and Bjorn Rien, as this is a 4-way battle. Bjorn Rien going on the inside of Vladimir Delepo and doing the same thing that Roberto Santoro did, as now Dries and Abe fighting through the first corner, and Abe able to take that position away from his fellow McLaren buddy. And Abe closer than ever to leading this race, as Roberto Santoro now into the lead yet again, as Carlo D'Orazio made a huge mistake, and Abe able to take that position, as Dries Verhulst also salivating, hoping to gain 3rd place back, but not enough time, not enough straight in order to gain the time that he would need. But Abe only 1.5 seconds behind Roberto Santoro, and Roberto Santoro will be shaking in his boots, shivering his spine. I don't know what else to say. Just absolutely not having the time of his life, as Tom Young fighting for 3rd place with Lewis David. It's actually a 3-way battle for 3rd place. Could be a 4-way battle, could be a 5-way battle for P3 over here. As somebody going very, very sideways. I think that was Andrew Reid in the Porsche. As Bjorn Rien behind Vladimir Delepo, as Marco Basile wanting to gain those positions. And the current championship leader not looking too healthy It actually has become a 5-way battle for the lead and for third place. As Nikolai Polakov absolutely sets off into the sunset. So did Alexander Sutsenko. And Lewis de Wit, the only person really at bay, at risk of losing that position. As Abe now getting super close, and he most likely will be getting that position. And side by side they go into the winding corner, as Roberto Santoro keeping his nose in, trying for the life of him to stay ahead, as he might look down the inside here, but there's just nothing he can do. And Abe, classic old him, taking the lead off the race, and it will most likely stay that way. And we'll just have to check on the battle for P2 if that happens. Making it boring again, are you, Abe?
We always will be.
Of course. But what isn't boring is the fight in the GT4s. Vladimir Delepov having to defend from Lewis de Wit. Having to defend from Bjorn Rien and attack Lewis de Wit. But then Bjorn Rien having to defend from Marco Basile, who has to defend from Tom Young, who has a Thomas Wonder catching close, well, not too close, as he is in a battle of his own. As Vladimir Delepov dropping quite a bit back from third place, and now under huge risk of getting that position taken from the Ginetta, but the Ginetta lacking that top speed, and Vladimir Delepov able to gain so much time down the straights compared to the Alpine. I mean, the Alpine is an absolute potato on the straights, but so nimble and agile through the corners, just nothing that Vladimir Delepov will be able to do, unless he gets closer on the straights, on the very long straights. As he goes for the move, actually a pretty late dive, but he gets it done. Lewis de Wit will be responding to it. There is definitely a collision, and because of that, Bjorn Rien also spinning, and Marco Basile getting caught up in that. And now all of the work that he did getting undone, as Schnell finding the gravel on Silverstone. A very nice gravel trap there, very bouncy. As Thomas Wonder having to give that position to Bjorn Rien. As now Olaf Nikolai under huge pressure from Marco Basile, as Marco Basile takes that position back and up into 19th place. Lewis de Wit not wanting to lose that third place at all. Vladimir Delepov now still continuing the battle with Lewis de Wit. Even after they're coming together, he's still on his tail and still catching very, very quickly. And Tom Young behind now, also getting close to Vladimir Delepov. I feel like I'm repeating myself quite a lot, but that is just what's happening. It is a bit of a pendulum swinging. It's either Tom Young far away from Vladimir Delepov and Vladimir Delepov fighting Lewis de Wit, or either Vladimir Delepov far away from Lewis de Wit and Tom Young straight on the tail of that McLaren. As Snell finding the gravel yet again, this time with his bumper quite off and spinning it off the track. Vladimir Delepov into the final corner, really ramping up his aggressiveness. Aggression, not aggressiveness, aggression, as he really wants to take that third place. As we can have a look at the GT4 standings and see where Vladimir Delepov is. He's currently in second place. And with Marco Basile having the races that he's had, this is really the time for Vladimir Delepov to take that championship lead. And Tom Young as well, very close to Vladimir Delepov. Any points here will really change the championship standings. Bjorn Rien behind them, and Lewis de Wit in 5th, but not close enough to really fight them. As Vladimir Delepov now down the straight. Ooh, a little bit of contact there as he was passing him on the straight. As Lewis de Wit just absolutely missing the corner is what he's doing. As Vladimir Delepov takes that position, and it might just be that Tom Young might slip on through around the outside in the Chevrolet. Remember, last time out, he had the rear tires absolutely light up, as there is the race leader of Abe Santama also trying to not get in the way of the battle, but trying to not get the GT4s in his way, as he's going to overtake 2 GT4s at once there. And we'll wait for Vladimir Delepov into the next corner. What's happening up here? Oh, it's again a battle for second place. It's a battle between Carlo and Roberto, and it is all being decided by the GT4s. As I'm pretty sure that's actually... Is it your final lap? Are you on your final lap?
I think I have one more lap.
Ah, okay, one more lap to go. Alright. Still one more lap for the people fighting for their final positions, as Tom Young behind Lewis de Wit now. And Bjorn Rien and Marco Basile, who did not have a great race this time out at all. And he is trying his best to hang on to the back of Bjorn Rien, as he's now got Roberto and Carlo also fighting for their own positions. And this is getting quite messy. Quite messy, as there's a lot of GT4s in this one bit of track. And Carlo trying to not take himself out, and also trying to not lose any time to Dries, who's right there now. And all he'd really need is for Lewis to get out of his way, and it's just not happening for him. As Lewis holding back Dries a little bit, as Carlo now in the slipstream behind Roberto Santoro as they go down the straight. 2 tenths away as he goes to the inside. No, he's just peeking. Very much just peeking on the inside. But nothing coming out of it. There's trees behind, really hoping that these guys get into some sort of altercation so he can take that position. But these guys knowing how to race just a little bit. Just a little bit. There's Bjorn Rien here in a battle with Tom Young, but he does have a hungry Oscar Pratt behind, trying to lap them all. And he laps them quite nicely, but Bjorn Rien now on the inside. Thank you to Oscar Pratt. And ooh, definitely contact there as he's trying to overtake him. As Dries Verhulst now into the final corner, trying to take the final podium position into the final corner. Dries Verhulst will have one more corner to go. He's got Claudio Passo behind. He's got Carlo Diorato in front. He's 2 tenths away, and I don't think he's going to have enough track in order to overtake Carlo for the final podium position, and he will have to settle for 4th place as Bjorn Rian gets ahead of Tom Young. So does Marco Basile in the final lap, as Marco Basile has to settle for 6th place, and definitely not the race he would like to have. But a little bit of a cleaner race, just a little bit. Oh, we just saw murder after the race. Yeah, very, very nice. And just, yeah, a little bit more action and a little bit cleaner, at least from what I saw. And overall, I mean, Abe, it probably wasn't too hard for you, but you still did win the race. So you did do it one time, but you didn't do it the second time.
Is what it is.
It is what it is indeed. But looks like, you know, this super sprint format, it does come with its own little con of everybody's pushing just a little bit too hard. A little bit too hard. But it does bring a lot of good and hard racing out at the expense of people killing each other. So if you'd like to see this in our other seasons, do let us know. Maybe we'll consider doing that. But overall, thank you for joining this stream. Thank you for joining the race as well, if you did. And we'll be back tomorrow for a lot of different series. We'll be doing the 24 hours of Spa, the 6 hours of Le Mans, the regular sprint series, and that's it actually. Only 3 series, not too terrible. So yeah, we will see you all tomorrow. Until then.